Alright. Alright. So today, Chainsaw Man chapter 130 just dropped. And it's a pretty short chapter, so we should be able to go over it pretty fast. So, first thing first is the title of the chapter, which is Kill Buildings, or Kill Building, because Denji chopped up a building this chapter. Pretty self-explanatory, but I think it might be a wordplay on Kill Bill, because building in Japanese is like biru, and Kill Bill in Japanese is like kiru biru. So it's probably a wordplay on that. Um, let's see. But yeah. Anyways, we start right off from where we left last chapter, which is Denji riding a chainsaw motorcycle, and he assumes that this is something he can do, so he still haven't realized that this is Asa's ability. But the tentacles are still chasing after him, and we have the tentacle covering up the sky. And Denji himself doesn't know what kind of devil this is, which is so he's in the same boat as the rest of us. I don't know if anyone has came up with a theory on what this is yet. I haven't been checking the Chainsaw Man subreddit as of late, but I actually don't go on there much anymore. I used to go on there just for the fan art, but not as much anymore. I haven't been on there for a few months. But anyways, the this particular devil, he manifests himself into one of the tentacles and appears in the real world. So at this point, we have actually a lot of devils that can travel between the real world and hell. Because he was in hell the last time we saw him, and now he isn't. Well, I suppose his tentacles are in the real world, so it's not as outlandish as Prince just teleporting between her body into hell. But anyways, he shows up in the real world. He ganks Denji, and then Denji gets assaulted by the falling devil, who just throws a building at him. And so I guess the fake chainsaw man, he didn't stop her at all. He held her up for a couple seconds, and then she's back into the real world, just doing whatever she was doing before, except more. Actually, I should have screenshot the other panel. Let's see, because the other one is the one with the more detail. I wonder how much of it is Fujimoto and how much of it was his assistants doing this. And but yeah, this panel is just so much detail to it, and it's really a step up from what we got in part one as far as the demolishing of buildings. Because let me pick a screenshot of something similar from part one. Oh, excuse me, I have to burp. Give me 1 second. Oh god. Right, because in this shot we're kind of seeing it from the perspective of the civilians, right? Because we're kind of seeing the effect of the destruction that's happening around Denji and the city. Whereas in the past, we're just seeing the buildings falling over, but we're not really seeing the human aspect of it. Let me grab this is from chapter 87 when Denji fought Makima. We're not Denji. This was Pochita. He fought Makima and the hybrids, the weapon hybrids. Let me see who he was attacking here. I think it was Quan Chi. Yeah, he sliced through Quan Chi into 4 buildings, and we're seeing the destruction of the buildings, but we're not really seeing like the after effects. Whereas this time we're seeing like the rubbles, the dust, the smokes, and the buildings just falling over. So the backgrounds in part 2 is definitely an improvement over part 1. And I think even just in like regular chapters, you're gonna see a lot more details on the buildings compared to part 1. And I think that's by design, just to emphasize that the world they live in is like real and really compact. Whereas in part 1 is just kind of like set pieces. It's like Fortnite buildings. They're just destruction for the sake of destruction. You're not really feeling the after effects. And I think even in this chapter, we got like a couple shots of civilians and their reaction to the destruction that's going on around them. But yeah, anyways, Denji, he rides through the explosions and then he comes face to face with this particular devil. Let me grab another screenshot. I love screenshots. So awesome. So this devil is now... Actually, I think I have an idea of what Fujimoto's inspiration on this devil may be based on. I'll go over it in just a second. First, I want to talk about like this devil's strategy, because he turned his torso into like a giant mouth. But his plan is to swallow a guy who's made of chainsaws and is riding a chainsaw motorcycle. So I feel that's not the best strategy to go about doing, winning. But I guess his objective is just to swallow Asa, because I wonder if they get like a reward for eating Asa. Because the Falling Devil is pretty adamant about that, right? So it's like, do they get a power up if they eat Asa? Do they get, like, what do they get if they eat her? Because eating in, like, Devil's Eating seem to have, like, a supernatural, well, they're all supernatural, but like an extra bonus effect. Like how Pochita eating other devils gives him like it doesn't give him anything, but it erases others. So it's like, what does eating Asa do? I'm gonna write that down as like a bullet point. Hmm. And okay, so back to what I was saying about the possible inspiration for this creature. I think Fujimoto might have been inspired by Dune. Because recently there's been a lot of Dune 2 trailers and other what do you call it? Other stuff from the series. And let me pull up a picture. So this guy, his face just reminds me of where did I put up a copy of the guy's face. There we go. This guy's his features kind of remind me of Baron Harkonnen from Dune. In the movies, he's like super fat and super bald. So let me grab like a concept art rather than the actor, just so we can maybe see the resemblance. So this is Baron Harkonnen, and let me grab a different picture for this particular devil, just because he looks a bit too handsome there. You know what? Let me use the one from the end of the chapter. The one I just had. I can just make it smaller. Da, da, da. And another thing about Doom is that they're a recurring creature. Like the creature central to the series in Doom is the sandworm. And I think last time we kind of talked about like the possibility of this devil being an insect. So I think the one we said was a caterpillar, but I think it's pretty likely that this is some kind of worm. Let's see. And oh, you know what? This is probably a better picture for the devil because he hasn't transformed yet. A more neutral position. Very royal and regal looking. A very chunky boy. And to not to spoil the future of the Doom movies, but in the later book, there is going to be a character who he's a human, but he like fuses into a sandworm. And here is kind of what he looks like. Oh my god, this is freaking huge. And this is kind of an artist depiction. Another fan arts that's more accurate to the books. I believe like his hands actually come out of like inside the worm. Let me see if I can find another fan art of um this character. Du-du-du. Yeah, this is like a more, I believe, accurate depiction of that particular character. Mm. So I think Fujimoto may have been influenced by the recent Doom news. I guess news is already plural. You don't need to use like newses. Yeah. So we have this giant creature. Let me find a picture of the sandworms of Doom just for a more apt comparison. I actually never read the Doom books myself, but I watched like a ton of videos of other people talking about it. Watch some. Actually, did watch the first movie, but I was like super tired when I did it. So my memory of the movie isn't the most accurate. I know they switched up a couple of things from the movie though, like the gender of at least one character. But anyways, let's see. These chapters are too short. They used to be 25 pages long and now only 16. You know, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true cuz they in part 1 they're pretty consistently like 20 chapters. And there were chapters that just felt really short in part 1 as well, right? Like when Pochita was fighting the weapons devils, those chapters went by and like the action heavy chapters in Chainsaw Man are always really short. And even in the beginning of part 2 where the chapters are slightly longer, And that one where Denji returns to fight the cockroach devil, like it did not feel that long, right? Like the first 20-ish pages are pretty standard in that. And then Denji comes back and it's like all action and double spreads. Let me see how many chapters this particular one is. Or how many, not how many chapters, how many pages. So we have a double spread right away. Should we count double spread as like 1 or 2 pages? I wonder. Let's see. 1, 2. I'm gonna count it as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 18 pages. But there's like 5 different double spreads. So that's probably why the chapter feels short. And it's also like a lack of story developments, but at the same time that's not particularly true either, because their whole city block just got destroyed. And I think we'll probably see the repercussion of the city just getting like blown up. Yeah, that's the thing with like Chainsaw Man though, because even when the chapters themselves are really short, I don't feel that I don't feel that like time is being wasted most of the time. Like, for example, in Sakamoto Days, there's recently like a 10 chapter long flashback, but then like pretty much 9 of them were just fights, and only the last one was like actual story development. And it's not like they were fighting important characters; they were fighting like fodders. But then they put like everything in the last flashback chapter, or the most recent one. It's probably not the last one. And then we get like a bunch of exposition at the end. So that's how I feel when we're referring to like rushed chapters. The chapter just released. How do you have enough time to get ready for the whole chapter? Honestly, the chapter, it's kind of as you said, the chapter is pretty short. It's mostly action. Like the most significant part of the chapter, it's just the building and this devil like coming to Earth. And I guess the falling devil escaping hell. Well, not escaping. She can leave as she pleases, as it seems. But I think we can assume that she took out the fake Chainsaw Man and then pop back up to Earth. So overall, it's not like we're getting a lot of answers. We're just kind of getting more and more questions right now. So it's not really too hard to get ready for these chapters. And it's kind of my ramblings and thoughts, first impressions of the chapter. But yeah, back to the Doom comparisons. I really think Fujimoto was inspired by the recent Doom media announcements. One thing I will say though is we're kind of focusing heavily on just this devil and the falling devil, when the fake Chainsaw Man kind of made it sound like there's gonna be like armies and armies of devils coming after Denji. Whereas this guy is like the mini boss right away. So I don't know at this point if we're even gonna see like a bunch of other devils. There's also a maybe like pacing issue if we just see fights and fights and fights the next 20 chapters. But also like this chapter's, there's not a whole lot of dialogue. Please do face reveal for the fake Chainsaw Man. We'll get that one day, probably. Let me see. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of dialogue this chapter. We see Denji and Asa kind of slightly talk about their plans for survival. Also, kind of took what he said as if they outrun the chainsaw, they're well, not the chainsaw. If they outrun the tentacle, they'll be Gucci. But that's not what the guy said at all. He said they're gonna have to survive until daytime. So I feel she completely misunderstood what he said. Actually, you know what? Was she even awake when the fake chainsaw man told her that? I can't remember. Let me go back a few chapters and double check. That was 128. Okay, yeah, she was just waking up as the fake chainsaw man started talking. Mm, but yeah, she completely, that wasn't what the guy said at all. He didn't say anything about the tentacles. He said to survive until sunrise. So I don't know if this is like Fujimoto just kind of telling us that, like using Asa as the voice of the narrator to tell us that like the tentacles are the threats here, or does she just have listening comprehension issues? Mm, the fake chainsaw man could just be Denji from the future. Uh, yeah, could be, because that could be that could explain why Fujimoto's hiding his face. Um, but at the same time, it's like I don't know if we're gonna get to time travel right now. Um, I don't know, because physics in Chainsaw Man universe does it's kind of abstract, so it's entirely possible. Da, da, da. Well, I don't know if future Denji would like need to hide himself though. I guess maybe he could do that to not mess up the timeline. That's a possibility. Yeah, let's say future Denji. That's a not impossible. Let me see. He does have like way longer chainsaws than normal Denji. Um, I don't know though, because this future Denji, he's speaking like really politely, right? He's saying like please in the sentences, and he's using longer sentences. So it's like, does Denji do that even in the future? Mm, Let me look at the future Denji. Mm. Let's see, but yeah, this chapter is pretty short. Not a whole lot to discuss just from this chapter alone. Well, I guess we can talk about this devil. He can also turn his tentacles into a hammer. So it's a very versatile tentacle. Well, maybe we can see what his body looks like and to like see what kind of insect this guy might be. Maybe future Denji lost to Yoru and somehow time traveled back to tell Denji to protect Asa. Could be. But it's like, so the thing is like, in that scenario, only future Denji would know the importance of Asa. Whereas, like, in the current scenario, right, like, pretty much every devil and more are aware that Asa is super important. But yeah, time travel is not the most outlandish idea I've heard so far. 'Cause there's also the prophecy, like the future that Yoshida was talking about, where a lot of people are gonna die by, what was the date? It was like August something. I don't remember the exact date. Look it up again. Chainsaw Man. Shoot, what chapter was it? It was like 120 something, right? 122. Here we go. Ba ba ba. Yeah. So I guess in a couple chapters we'll maybe find out what's special about Asa. I don't think Fujimoto's gonna keep going with fights. No explanation. It's usually, well, this is it how he do things? Because he explained Pochita's deal like pretty soon after he transformed. I don't think there were any instances of like Fujimoto hiding stuff typically for an extended period of time. Ba 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 ba. Oh no, it was in August. It was July. Could famine be behind the primal fears? Probably not. I don't think so, because the like on the hierarchy scale, it seems like it's primal, and then the horsemen, and then like the other devils. So I feel like she can't really tell them what to do. And Fujimoto really hasn't depicted her as like a super manipulator as of now. She's kind of just chilling, like posing as a student. Mm, buh, buh, buh. I don't know if she could be, but it's like that. It doesn't seem like that's what Fujimoto's doing. But then again, I thought like Fujimoto wasn't heralding Makima as the ultimate villain the first time I read Chainsaw Man either. So, could be. He said, Falling Devil is a chef and Fammy likes to eat. Yeah, she is. She does like to eat because she's famine. But at the same time, it's like all of the well, not all, but it's like Makima was also, she eats a lot too. So I wonder if it's like a common trait between the Horseman sisters rather than like, her particular deal. But yeah, chapter 122 is probably the most exposition we've had since part 2. That's probably the chapter I'm going to be rereading the most in the following weeks. Or not just the following weeks, but like, oh man, this chapter was brutal. I completely forgot about the suicide that happens right after the scene. Oof. Bammy is pretty powerful. She was the first devil to teleport. Does she teleport? I don't remember her teleporting. When did she teleport? Let me look. Because I don't think if you're talking about the Yuko chapter, I don't think she teleported in that. She was like posing as a student in the devil hunting club. But it wouldn't surprise me if she could teleport powers in this series. Just, they do whatever. Ba-ba-ba. Yeah, I wonder what Fami's name is in Japanese Raws, though. Sometimes the translators take liberties on translating the names. Like Nyako, the cat, Power's cat, they just translated to like Maui. And I really don't like it when they do that. Just like leave the names untranslated if you could. That's my thought on translating names. Like the worst example of translating names is probably Nekomamushi and Inuarashi from One Piece. I think the translator just make it like dog viper or cat viper and dog storm. It's like, man, just give me the names as they are. I don't want to speak English. Teleporting herself and Yoru out of the aquarium. I'll be honest, I don't remember the aquarium chapters that closely as of late. Let me take a look at it. Because Yoru. Oh, I guess, yeah, she did like cancel Yoru from Asa's consciousness. I forgot she did that. Ba, 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 ba. Chapter 113, I think. Oh yeah, she did. She did. She exited the aquarium with. I wonder where Yoru was when she did that. Because Yoru doesn't exist on her own as like her own entity. So I wonder if she was like inside the Famine Devil when that happened. Her Japanese name is Kiga. Yeah, I got that, but it's like when she talked to Yoshida here, she's like, "Call me Fami." I wonder, it's like, does she shorten the whole thing, or I'm trying to find like a Japanese chapter of that so I can find out her name. I'll be honest, I'm actually pretty happy with the official translations for Chainsaw Man so far, because some translations are really bad. Like I'm not a fan of One Piece's official translation, and I didn't like Kimetsu no Yaiba's translation when it happened. Chainsaw Man, Rawls. Oh, I can't find Rawls. The site I usually use, it's not giving it to me. But yeah, there is going to be a chapter next week, fortunately. I thought last week, well the break before the previous one was because of Golden Week, which is like spring break in Japanese or in Japan, but apparently not because other series that are usually updated at the same time, they're still publishing. So I think it's just Fujimoto determining his own schedule. And I'm actually pretty glad that he's taking these breaks. I think most authors should like take a huge break every time before they start a story arc, just so they can plan all the nitty gritty details. Oh, there we are. See, I found the raw for this particular chapter, but I wonder if I can. Actually, no, never mind. It's not loading. Yeah, her name. Ooh, Oh, you know what? The official translations for English, they actually don't have like the chapter ending tags at the end. You know how like sometimes when you finish the Shonen Jump chapters, they'll put like a little tagline to kind of, it's like a mini preview or like a summary for the current chapter. So this is this week's ending note. I have no idea what it says. Um, I have to pull up Deep L. I know this says like big mouth, and this says difficult. Twist of fate, something big mouth. Let me find the translation to see how much I got it right. Um, I forgot. Do I have to download the image for DeepL on the desktop to translate it? Alright, I do. It sucks. I have to use Google Translate. I hate Google Translate. Wait. Oh, even Google Translate, I have to use the phone. It's terrible. Or do I? Oh, no, I don't. But I do have to download the image. Oh, I don't want to do that. It's going to take up 0.03 bytes. Alright, Google Translate. Alright, translating. God damn it. I can't see. It's like sideways. It's so hard to read. Alright, let me paste it. Maybe I can rotate it actually. Okay. Transform, rotate. Beyond the most difficult driving, await big. Something tells me that's not the most accurate translation. I don't know what that means, man. Google Translate, they need to like step it up. Driving. I guess this word kind of means driving. Yeah, I remember something like that. My Japanese studies aren't the best. While I'm at it, let me look up like the previous ending tags of the other chapters because I haven't been looking at them. 28, 27. All right, well I'm at it. I was here to find Fami's name to begin with. Here we are. It's Kiga Chong. Okay. So I guess like her usual name is like Kiga, and then he's asking Yoshida to say Kiga Chan to be like more polite, or not polite, more like friendly, isn't it? I guess that's how. So like, yeah, okay. So I guess the English they kind of translate it to like Fami, like shorten the name, because in English when we do more friendly names, we shorten the name rather than adding anything to it. Because he was calling her. Well, let me see what he said before. Because he was calling her senpai. So like, let me see what senpai he was calling her. Da da da. Yeah, I have like 200 tabs open right now. This is not good for my CPU. Bah, 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 bah. You know, I should do this more often. Just reading Japanese after I read the English chapters. You know, we get more out of the chapter readings, and I can learn another language. Yeah, so he calls her Kiga Senpai, and then she corrects him to Kiga Chan. That's what we're doing. You know, sometimes I do prefer, I think I would prefer if the translators keep like Chan and Song and, you know, all the, what do you call it? Like the prefix or the, because the recent trend in the official Shonen Jump translations is that they translate Song to like Mr. or Miss. So like Denji's like Makima Song, and the translators will go, "Oh, Miss Makima." When that's, I don't feel that's like the most accurate way to translate it. It's like it's not wrong, but it's like I also don't feel that's the that's the intended way to call someone in Japanese. Because it's like it's really no way to translate it one to one because of the cultural differences. So like, you know, in Japan you might call your friend Song. There's no way like an American person's gonna be like, oh, Mister Tom, Mister Andrew, when they're talking to them in the street. Um, but yeah, that's my pet peeve with a lot of the English translations, especially in romance series too, because I think there's what's that one called, Nagatoro, and then I believe it translates to like Miss Nagatoro when she just, you know, when she's younger than them. So you usually don't call people younger than you like Miss. But yeah, back to looking at the chapter ending notes for the other chapters. Pwah, pwah, pwah. Well, I guess I'm using like Google Translate all the way, so it's not going to be the most accurate. Is there like a better image translation than Google Translate? I want to use Google Translate. Uh, I really not translate images on DeepL. There's no way, right? All right, I'll keep using Google Images. All right, let's see. What's this one say? I'm looking at chapter 129's ending tag. Ooh. Alright, there's no way this is accurate. Oh my god. Google Translate, you're like having a stroke. Want out of shape, cut the water. They just didn't even bother translating these two words. Dynamic beauty. My IQ is lowering with each sentence. Oh my god. Alright, I'm gonna do some of these on my own time and then find a better translator. But yeah, next chapter, it's coming out next week on schedule, thankfully. And I actually have a couple of videos that I'm working on. I've already recorded them. I spend a long time editing them. But they should be done this week sometime. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.